Okay, I read portions of the Elon Musk book by Walter Isaacson. It's pretty interesting. It's like a documentary on his life. You don't exactly get Elon Musk's specific thoughts, but it tells you sort of how he got to where he is currently. I'm only up to like 2019, but I think it's pretty interesting. Especially I guess if you invest in Tesla. So reading the Elon Musk book, I'm gonna make this post to talk about this. I think the most interesting part about this guy is that he's always working. Like he seems to be always working, obsessed about producing rockets, electric cars, like getting things really cheap in terms of like I think there's a lot of examples in the book where something could cost 200K. So someone that works for him tells him the part costs 200K. He'll say, "Can we get it done for 10K or 5 grand or even less?" He constantly trying to reduce the cost of the materials needed to build rockets. And the other part is that his personal life, he is dating many women. I think it's probably because of his financial status, and obviously he has some fame too. So he has some access to like all these actresses that he's dated, but it didn't look like a really success. Um, but it's hard to find the right person in general. But like still, he seemed to be really focused on building these companies, and that meant that he had little time to like sort out his personal life. Um, and yeah, he seems to go for blondes. So it's quite interesting though. The bulk of this book is basically him. Partially, it was like the different wives he had in the did it be call it autobiography? Um, but it just shows that like he's not as successful as I thought. He's definitely a success financially, but if you're like the richest man on the planet, if you're unhappy and I don't know, you're constantly getting divorced, like you're constantly in turmoil, you're constantly in like chaos all the time. I don't know if I call that success, but it's definitely fits the traditional model of financial success, and that's probably the most visible part. But it seems like this isn't really like a successful human being, right? Like if you're always in turmoil and like in massive pain and potentially have multiple traumas and problems, it doesn't sound like the best life. Um, but I think the book goes through like I don't know how accurate it is. I guess this guy's a Walter Isaacson have observed Musk for a while. I don't know how he got so many stories out of him. We just interviewed him constantly, but reading it doesn't sound like the dream life. Obviously, he's very successful. He's managed to build rockets and cars that most ordinary men. I think he's constantly in a rush. Like he's not like the Gary Vee like oh be patient oh you'll have time. He's constantly in a rush to like build these rockets almost like ASAP, almost like we're running out of time. And he's constantly thinking through a lot of humanity's problems like is artificial intelligence gonna kill us? Is it like you know I don't know, like we need the electric cars. I don't know for we need sustainable energy. We need to get to Mars because humanity can be wiped out. A lot of these things I don't really think about. But it's interesting because a lot of it is inspired from his childhood, reading space books. Um, but he's constantly thinking about what problems could pose to humanity. Like AI could wipe us out. He wants to build an AI that helps humanity. So he starts a company called Neuralink, which implants chips to our brain to enhance the human being's capability and helps certain conditions. Um, like I don't know, I guess dementia. I don't know if it's dementia. It's certain conditions that affects a human being's ability to think. He started multiple companies. Um, but this guy's always working. I think the most interesting part is that he's not I don't think he pursued to be rich. He just ended up being rich, building what he wanted. Um like he's not because he was extremely insecure and he wanted to be the richest man on the planet. He just ended up doing it. through the stuff he's building. But I think partially it might be also being a drive. I don't know, because his childhood seems like kind of traumatic and has a lot of problems. So I don't know. I feel like the guy is in a lot of has a lot of problems. In turmoil. Um, I don't think you'd rate this guy as the happiest man on the planet, but he's definitely kind of interesting to see how he got. He's like an addicted game player. He's addicted to the game. I would say he's addicted even to the game of business. He's just really wants to create all the things he wants to do and in order to serve humanity, which I think is quite interesting. He's like some people say he's like Thomas Edison of our generation, or like Einstein. He's definitely he's definitely like a scientist, right? He's like a product builder, and he's like a really insane product builder. And reading the book, I'm getting sense that yeah, he constantly pressures. He puts a lot of pressure on his team to produce things in a very short time. So if someone says, "Oh, we can get it done in 2 or 3 months," he'll say, "Oh, we can. Can you do that in 2 weeks? Can you do that in a month?" He constantly tries to shorten the timeline to reduce the costs. The reducing the cost, I think it makes a lot of sense. He's definitely more in a rush than a lot of people, though. Reducing the cost just makes sense because, if you're starting a company, you want to reduce the cost as much as possible. And I guess to build, I think it's insane. I also think it's insane that he had 3 failed rocket launches, and each time, because I think I would have been overly, probably, I don't know if perfectionist is the right word. Like I would have been overly slow in trying to build a rocket. Like if I were to build a rocket, I'd probably want it to go right on the first time. But he went through 3 failed attempts and continued going, and it was spending like millions to build these rockets. And each time, on the 4th attempt, it worked, but it wasn't. He didn't know how to build a rocket, right? He just read a lot of, I don't know, books on aerodynamics or like some physics stuff. There was no like manual on how to build a rocket. He and his team tested it, obviously. And still, I don't think there's I don't know how good of a public manual there is. But 3 attempts at multi-millions and almost going bankrupt is pretty insane, I think. And I think he got a lot of loans from his friends who loaned him a lot of money when he was going bankrupt. Well, when he was on the verge of bankruptcy, he never went bankrupt. But I think I just think it's pretty insane because he went all in. But three failed launches is a lot. Like I wouldn't have necessarily given up, but I think even after one catastrophic failure of a rocket blowing up, I question like whether I should be doing this. But obviously this guy really wanted to build rockets, so he just kept on going.